A government shutdown, Mike Johnson loses his job, and the real reason behind the release of the Matt Gaetz report. Let's dive into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. So, um, I got a couple searing images when I was preparing my videos for the 2025 predictions. And one of the images that I got was a picture, like a Polaroid picture of Matt Gaetz and somebody setting it on fire, and and it just burnt in front of me and then it was gone. So I want to dive into that, but let's start with the the current events of the day. And as some of you probably know, Elon Musk and Donald Trump decided to torpedo the spending bill that we were talking about in the last video, which had made a bunch of House Republicans mad at Mike Johnson. And I believe they have until Friday at midnight, or I guess technically Saturday morning at midnight, to pass the bill. Otherwise, the government's going to go into a partial shutdown. And then if they don't pass something soon after that, then possibly things can get even worse. So let's just start with that question. Is there going to be a government shutdown? So I get images of a bunch of, I think they're probably Democrats in a room, and uh, they're kind of screaming back and forth with each other, and kind of the overall energy is all like, um, well, we did everything we could. Why should we bail them out? Kind of an energy. Why should we help them? So let's see what the cards say. Will there be a government shutdown? Give them a couple more shuffles. So my initial instincts is yes, but I don't think it'll be super long lived. Will there be a government? Yeah, I could see there's a lot of behind the scenes actions, a lot of anger at Elon Musk. Um, and a lot of just very unhappy Republicans. Well, that's not a good way to start. So we get the Ten of Swords as the foundation of the reading. This is complete and utter downfall. I really wonder if this has to deal with Trump and Musk and or Musk, I should say. Is this the beginning of the end of their influence, in particular Musk? If he's just going to be there to torpedo progress, are Republicans really going to go along with it? Because he's not in the government. So uh the challenge is the Queen of Cups, that's steady leadership, uh, following intuitions. Yeah, in the subconscious, we get being left out in the cold, poverty, moneyless. So I think they're very concerned about how the public would react to a shutdown, and particularly if the shutdown lasts long enough and people stop receiving Social Security. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I don't think it's going to go that far, but we'll see what happens. Um, we get the Four of Pentacles in the past. This is stability. So stability's in the past. Um, we no longer have stability in leadership or in the government. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, crowding the reading, we get the Nine of Swords. This is about anxiety. Uh, but it's also kind of, and this is the after tarot, it's about slaying the dragon that's causing the anxiety, facing one's fears. So this could be kind of perceived as a positive card in this particular deck with respect to the question. Maybe Republicans are willing to go against the grain, and slay the dragon, so to speak. Uh, we're at a crossroads. That's the near term future. That's just confirmation that we're reading as our a lot of these cards reading on the right thing. Yeah, here's the problem. We have a spy in the camp, right? This Page of Swords. The spy in the camp, I think, is clearly Elon Musk and the influence that he's wielding. And perhaps some of the really extreme MAGA Republicans like Massey from Kentucky, um, that are just unwilling to go along with anything that helps. So the reason why some of the MAGA Republicans were against the spending bill is it contains some relief for hurricane victims. It also contains some relief for farmers. Um, and they seem to not want to spend any money. It's followed by temperance. So hopefully some moderation on the situation. In the hopes and fears, we get quick action. So I think this is a hope, and the hope is when the when the government shuts down, that they're able to rectify it really quickly. So Trump and Musk also want the Republicans to raise the debt ceiling so that it won't have to be raised under Trump. I don't think this is going to happen because it's kind of Democrats' really only bargaining tool if they don't get any sort of power. And I don't think the Democrats are going to go along with it. I don't think they can pass a spending bill without at least 40 or 50 Democrats. So uh, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, and then ugh, the outcome cards, the Seven of Swords. I mean, we get this all the time when we read about Trump and I guess now Musk. They're trying to get away with something, but again, there's a trap that's been set. You can see that at the bottom of the card that you know uh, the thief could be walking into a trap. So this might not turn out very well for them. Let's see what the shadows are. We have strength. We got the government, and we get the truth, and we get standing one's ground with the Seven of Wands. So it's slightly ambiguous with the cards. What's going on isn't ambiguous, but whether there'll actually be a shutdown is a little bit ambiguous. But if I had to guess, based on this reading and a little bit on my intuition, um, I think the answer is there will be a shutdown. I don't think it'll be long lived. It might not even only be hours. Uh, is that going to include a raising of the debt ceiling? I kind of don't think so. So I don't think Musk and Trump are going to get exactly what they're wanting. Um, I think Democrats aren't going to be outflanked like that, but Democrats have caved before, so never underestimate the ability to take their own power away. Um, but I think Hakeem Jeffries is on it, and I really don't think that that's going to be part of the deal. And that's going to create problems later down the line for Republicans, which is the intention, especially if, they manage to elect a speaker, like we talked about in the last video, that might be a bit tricky for them. So, um, so that's the next question I have on the agenda is, will Mike Johnson stay on as speaker in the next Congress? So, don't remember all the names that came out in the news yesterday, but Massey from Kentucky was one saying that he was not going to support Johnson. Sparks from Indiana said she was going to leave the Republican Party because of the leadership. And there was a couple others. And with the current makeup of Congress being 219 to 215, because Gaetz isn't in Congress, so we have one vacancy, a 217-217 tie would not elect a speaker, and that could be 217 people voting for Johnson, 215 voting for Jeffries, and two people just voting president. It still wouldn't elect a speaker. You need a majority. So will Mike Johnson hang on to the speakership in the next Congress? I just don't, I can see kind of the State of the Union address. I can see Vance on the left. Um, Trump in the middle, and kind of the spot where the speaker would be standing or sitting. Just, it feels empty. So um, let's see what the cards say. Will Mike Johnson be able to keep on as the Speaker of the House in the next Congress in 2025? Will he be elected? Will he be elected Speaker of the House in the next Congress, which starts on January 3rd, 2025? Will Mike Johnson be elected Speaker of the House in January or in 2025? I get a real pull to an image of, like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And it's kind of like whatever he does, he can't win. There's always another plan at foot. Um, he's never going to capture the speakership, which is the Roadrunner representation here. Let's see what the cards say. Yeah, well, he's definitely worried about it. And that's not good for the country if he's worried about keeping his job as we go into the negotiations about the government shutdown. So that's a very concerning card for us all. Um, it's crossed by judgment. We get judgment all the time when we read about these. The public's going to also make a judgment, but the Republican caucus is going to make a judgment too. That's the challenge, and he knows that. Um, in the subconscious, we get the Ten of Pentacles. This is family celebrations, get-togethers. I think there's a lot of concern about who would be speaker if he's not. And we read in the last video about the possibility of Jeffries being speaker because moderate Republicans just bail on the party because we have to govern. Um, in the past, we get celebrations. So I think they were surprised that they held on to the majority after the election. So I think that's what that's representing. We get steady leadership in the sky. This is my card for the Democrats, um, and Joe Biden in particular. And Biden will still be president when we're trying to elect a speaker. So he might have some sway on that. So that dark Brandon energy that we were talking about in the last reading. The near-term outcome, this is hopeful. This is stability. Hopefully, we won't have everything crashing and burning. Ugh. We get the Ten of Wands. These are not good cards for Mike Johnson. It's just heavy burdens. Part of me wonders whether he even really wants to be speaker anymore. Um, kind of like Kevin McCarthy after he was done, he retired from Congress. Um, we do get the Six of Swords, which is moving away from troubled waters. The hopes and fears, we get the devil card. Sorry for the sighing. These are not good cards. This is toxicity, addictions, mis and disinformation. This could relate to the fear that the Republicans don't actually care about governing. They care about party or power. They're addicted to power. Um, and the governing part they don't actually care about, and who gets hurt in the process, you know, I don't think they necessarily care. So that's not good. We get the Queen of Pentacles as the outcome. This is again, a pretty steady hand and intuitive leader. I don't think that's Mike Johnson. Let's pull another clarifier. We do get the King of Wands, so some fiery leadership that certainly doesn't describe Mike Johnson. We'll get the Sun card, which is full illumination. I think we'll fully understand what has happened, and I don't think it's that difficult of a tale to quite grasp. Um, that a certain faction, and it doesn't have to be many, just two, three at the most, Republicans going against him means he's not going to be speaker if they hold firm in their choice to not vote him. The Democrats are not going to bail him out. They're going to try to get um, Jeffries in there. This is interesting. We get the High Priestess and the shadows. This is some dark energy moving. One of the viewers commented in the Rider Waite, there's a B and a J in this card, which was like the B's on the dark pillar, so like for Dark Brandon, and the J's on the white pillar for like Joe Biden. So uh, as soon as this is over, they're gonna be trying to run away from it real fast, that's for sure. And ultimately, we're gonna get a new start. So I think we're gonna end up with a new speaker. I don't know who that's gonna be. Um, I just I don't see Mike Johnson hanging on. I can be wrong, certainly, but I just don't see this going smoothly. And I think we'll probably know pretty early on if he goes ahead with the spending bill that doesn't have the support of the crazy wing of the Republican Party. He's just saying, okay, let's just not shut down the government, and whatever happens. Um, uh, with my speakership is unimportant. I kind of I get the feeling he's exhausted, and they'll never say it publicly, but most of them, I mean, they hate Trump. That's the sense I get. They just hate the chaos. They hate the, last minute changing our minds to inflict this chaos, because this is something that had been coming up for weeks, that they'd been working on for weeks, and then Musk and Trump torpedoed it. Okay, let's move on to the Gaetz report. Okay, got an image when I was working on the 2025 readings, as I described it, the Polaroid of Matt Gaetz being set on fire. I also got an image of kind of representing him being stabbed in the back. So, Gaetz is from Florida. Trump had nominated him to be uh, uh, attorney general. That failed. This ethics report looked like it wasn't going to come out. And then all of a sudden it's going to come out. And it was done in secret. Nobody even knew they were voting on it. Um, well, the members of the committee did, but the public really wasn't told they were voting on it. Why would someone want to stab Trump in the back? I mean, not Trump, Gaetz in the back. I think this all has to do with Marco Rubio in the Senate seat that's going to come up for grabs as soon as he's confirmed as Secretary of State. Ron DeSantis has a lot of ambitions. Um, I don't think he thinks he can run for president in 2028 because I think he thinks JD Vance will probably be president at that time and will have a pretty good hold over the primary. And so I think DeSantis was hoping that he could win that Senate seat in 2022 by appointing somebody that he could beat in a primary. And I think he wanted to appoint Gaetz, knowing that these other scandals were going to come out. And it would look like DeSantis was clean, didn't know about all the horrid details about them. And then DeSantis could step in and win the Republican primary and then become the senator from Florida and be senator for 6 years before running for president in, I guess, 2032. Um, so the question I think we should ask is, was Trump behind the release of the Gaetz report? So Trump wants his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, appointed. And I think DeSantis knows he can't beat her in a primary just because of her last name. So was Trump behind the release of the ethics report on Matt Gaetz? Was Trump behind the release? I think so. I could see him making some phone calls. See how much I get. I think so. But let's see what the cards say. Yeah, we get the world. So, it's being end of a cycle, and a new beginning. Um, you know, one of uh, influence. It is challenged by families and celebrations. Um, we get the Five of Cups, which is loss. We get the Death card in the past. This is the end of Gaetz's career in politics. Crowning the reading, we get celebration, circles of support with the Three of Cups. Here again, we get the High Priestess, this dark energy. Here's the B and the J that I was talking about. That one of the viewers point out in the comments. And thanks for everyone for commenting, liking, watching, subscribing, all that stuff. So there's some dark energy at work. I think this is Trump backstabbing Gaetz and throwing him under the bus. We get anxiety. We get manifestation, manifesting Laura Trump becoming senator. We'll read on that in just a second. In the hopes and fears, there'll be a choice. And I think this is the choice for DeSantis, actually. Does he go along with what Trump wants, or does he do something different for his own political ambition, hoping that going against Trump doesn't ruin his political ambitions? And we get wish fulfillment. So I think Trump was behind it. We get steady leadership, moderation, and fiery leadership. So in the shadows. So I think we can expect a lot of backstabbing type leadership between Musk and Trump, whether it's torpedoing the spending bill or it's originally saying we shouldn't release this report, but now we're going to have it released because it serves us better this way. If he can't be attorney general, well, then he's of no use to us. Let's just go ahead and make sure we get Laura Trump as senator from Florida. So as soon as Rubio is confirmed as Secretary of State, and I see no reason why that's not going to happen, um, we there'll be that open seat, and DeSantis will have to fill it. Again, I think DeSantis wants to fill it with somebody that will either agree to only be senator for 2 years or someone he thinks he can beat in a primary so that he can become senator in 2026 because his governorship will be up and he'll be term limited. He won't be able to run for reelection as governor. Um, so let's look into that. Is DeSantis going to follow what Trump wants and appoint Laura Trump senator after Rubio's confirmed? Will DeSantis appoint Laura Trump senator in the state of Florida after Marco Rubio leaves the seat to become Secretary of State? I don't think so. Will DeSantis appoint Laura Trump senator? Yeah, I'm getting the image of, I'm assuming it's her, you know, being upset. And that could be lots of things, but I think it's about this since that's what we're asking about. Um, Also, getting an image again of the Seven of Swords. I wouldn't be shocked if that comes up again. We shall see. Um, okay, we get the Four of Swords at the foundation of the reading. This is about ill health. This is the Minor Arcana Death card. Trump is not well. DeSantis knows that just because he's interacted with him, and I think it's probably more clear than what we see um, on the television that he's ill. Uh, DeSantis is going to try to buy his time, I think. So the challenge is waiting for one ship to come in. Can he delay this to where there's not as much pressure to make her senator? In the subconscious, we get illumination, uh, things becoming very clear with the sun card. So I wouldn't be surprised if DeSantis just tells it like it is. Hey, they sabotaged Gaetz in order to get her in, and I'm not gonna follow that. I know that seems counterintuitive for a Republican to do that. But the attention span of the voters, and this is what we get in the past. This is the Four of Wands. This is kind of my card for communities and voters. That's in the past. I think he thinks he's already won them over. So I don't think he thinks it matters what he does. As long as he's the Republican nominee in 2026, he'll become senator. We get a fiery message. I think this is a message to Trump saying, I'm not going to do what you're asking. We get the Five of Wands. There's going to be a huge fight over this. It might not be public, but there'll be a lot of back and forth between the two of them, and possibly, Musk getting involved and other people that really shouldn't be running the government that are. But here's DeSantis. He's defending himself with the Seven of Wands. Uh, we get steady leadership, intuitive leadership. I think that more describes DeSantis, even though I don't think he's a very good leader. In the hopes and fears, we get celebrations coming together. I think that's the hope, is that no matter what DeSantis does, that people will quickly move on and forget what he did. And um, we get the Five of Swords in the outcome. This is wounded in battle, the wounded warrior. I think that's Trump. I think Trump loses his influence. I've said this during many readings. I think they'll reach a point where Trump's influence wanes because people realize that he can't run for reelection again. he really hasn't been successful at primarying people except in certain places. So I I just don't see it happening. We have the tower and the energy. I'm just covering up the naked man. Um, so this is gonna go over pretty rough. Um, and then we get victory with the Six of Wands, and then uh, we get uh, fiery leadership going against the grain. And here's the High Priestess again. I think that came up in every reading, or at least three out of the four readings. Some dark energies at play. So some backstabbing, some inner fighting, some things we probably will never know exactly about. Um, Okay. So please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. I enjoy your comments. Please keep commenting. Um, I'll make another video soon. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you.